as always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
Well, I wanted to pick them to win this football game, but I thought the experience from Tom Brady was going to be too much. I was wrong. Rams, they're hot right now. Their defense is playing really, really good. Give it up. Matt Stafford went on the road across the country in a playoff game, the biggest game he's ever been in, and he beat the GOAT. And it looked like they were going to run away with it. Tom Brady made them start quaking in their boots over there, but ultimately Matt Stafford makes a couple of really nice plays late to get the win. Impressive by the Rams, man.
Yeah, except for the absolute meltdown, like late third quarter through the fourth.
What that the fumble by Akers, and Stafford almost fumbled it the possession after that, but somehow they
Bad
kept it
snap.
together.
Or
Bad snap.
I don't even know that the snap, I don't know if it was bad or not. Really, it was catchable, but Stafford wasn't ready for it and couldn't jump on it. Like it was like it was bad news bears for
Four
the
fumbles,
Rams.
right? That they
It was
lost.
Yeah, and remember Akers, like if Akers doesn't fumble going into the end zone in the first half, that game is over. Now, that being said, it was what, 27-3? It should have been over. That would
Yep.
have been an epic collapse by the Rams. I mean, epic, but
And
luckily, wait,
give them credit for pulling it together whenever it looked like it's like, oh my God, we are going to absolutely, you know what, all over ourselves and give this thing up, but somehow make the play to win it late.
yeah, the Rams late third into the fourth, they went fumble, punt, fumble, missed field goal, punt, fumble. And then,
Ouch.
I mean, it's insane. And then they went and I don't know in that situation. Now, you're the defensive guy. You're the defensive guru on this here podcast. How is Cooper Cup in that situation? Like, I know McVay's really good at dialing up schemes, offensively to get Cooper Cup one-on-ones. But it seems like in that situation in the game for the Bucs, you should make anyone other than that guy beat you. Anyone.
Yeah, well, I don't know how he ended up on the safety. And I understand he was was he on the inside slot in trips and he drew the safety, or was it 2 by 2? Anyways, he got the safety, and he should have had the nickel or a corner. And I don't know how they ended up in that rotation, but they must have known it and had it up their sleeve the whole game and finally unveiled it. But I don't know if that was just a bust by Tampa Bay or what, but he just got flat run by. There's not a lot you can do after it's all said and done. Whenever you've got him, Stafford knows they've got it protected. He's just going to let it rip, and that's one that you're always going to win right there.
I will say, Tom Brady, that pocket was collapsing all damn game, and he when they absolutely had to have it, he did what he's done for years and years. Man, that fourth quarter, it was impossible to look away from the TV. It was, I mean, it was intoxicating watching the Brady onslaught, like the avalanche of that comeback. It was so good.
Got Gronk a couple of plays, touchdown to Mike Evans, and it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, give the credit to the Rams for being able to come out of that thing because it looked like a total death spiral, and that's, on the road in the playoffs, that's why you want to be at home. But the only playoff team to hold serve at home was the Chiefs. They barely got out of there. It was wild. What a weekend, man.
All right. I got a feeling where this is going, but who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
The Bills defense is my loser, or the Bills, however you want to. Like, we can get as detailed as you want. The backer that should have been playing the backside hook in cover 3 late in the game whenever they had 5 under, 3 deep, should not be able to complete a pass against that coverage. And the backside backers all the way to the front side, and you got Travis Kelce just wide open. Unbelievable. I don't. this is why I would be a terrible coach or GM, because I wouldn't let the guy get on the bus the way home. It's terrible. That was a epic collapse defensively down the stretch from the number one defense in the NFL. And I'm going to have to hear all this crap about how great Patrick Mahomes was, whenever in reality it was just horrible defense.
Well, not only are you going to hear that, and Patrick Mahomes, he was amazing in that game. And that was a hell of a throw to Kelsey on the game winner in overtime. But you're going to hear all the love for Mahomes, which I think he deserves. I thought he was awesome in that game, especially with how much he was using his legs. That early run he had, I guess he almost hit like 19 miles an hour. The dude was scooting. But you're going to hear that, and you're also going to hear people bitch about the overtime rules. And
it is pretty bad.
I'm kind of on team, like, stop them, guys. Like, get a stop. Yeah, there's no better way to do it other than a coin flip. Like, I'm sorry. Like, get a stop. Yeah. Hold them to a field goal, and you get the ball. Like, get a stop. You can't just play all day.
No, there's definitely truth to that. And frankly, with as horrible as their defense was down the stretch, they didn't deserve to get another shot at it. But the way that game was going down, it does leave you feeling a little unsatisfied at the end. It feels like this shouldn't be over right now, but them's the rules.
Can I say something and hopefully not receive too much judgment for it?
I can't guarantee that.
The Bills, remember, there's 13 seconds left when they kick the ball off.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they should have squib kicked it.
I did too. I was shocked that they did what they did, kicked it deep.
I'm so glad you didn't get mad at me, because there's going to be some OU fans that hear that. Like, you hear squib kick now.
Squib.
Still, no, never squib.
Yeah, as long as you don't squib it directly into the guy in the front line, you're okay.
Correct.
I was shocked at that.
Well, because there was 13 seconds. Like, this is the reality of the situation, is that Bills defense. Like, by the way, Gabriel Davis, that is the most unexpected great performance I can remember on a football field, at like any level.
How about that play call too? You got Diggs on the backside of 3-by-1, and he's the inside guy, and they run I think it was like a dig, inside release dig with Diggs, and then just that skinny post buying the safety on the backside with Diggs and throwing it away from leverage. That was a really cool play.
Dude.
An absolute cannon from Allen. It never got over like head high.
Well, not only that, the route, Gabriel Davis made that dude. No, I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about the one before the game that we all thought was the game winner. He made that corner fall.
The first of 3 game winners. Yeah.
Did you see the stats about the last 2 minutes of the game?
3
lead changes, 1 tie. 25 points scored in the last 2 minutes of regulation. Allen and Mahomes in the last 2 minutes combined for 3 passing touchdowns and 221 passing yards.
That's crazy. That's what I'm saying. That's my only thing with the overtime rules, is like, it didn't feel like it should have been over at that point, but oh well.
I will say,
hook player. Let's go.
An all-time performance by Josh Allen. I thought he was awesome. He led him in rushing.
Well, if they could play the backside hook, we wouldn't have to see another TikTok dance from Patrick Mahomes' brother in celebration. But
how can you leave Travis Kelce that open in that situation? And this, you can whine about the overtime rules. You can whine about whatever you want, but the reality of it is that the Buffalo Bills were 13 seconds away from going to the AFC Championship game, and they let Patrick Mahomes go, 55, 56 yards in 9 seconds?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. If you want to go win a Super Bowl, you want to go to the AFC Championship game and go to the Super Bowl, don't do that. Don't let that happen.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
All right. If you're a whiskey or bourbon drinker, speaking of pretty good, stop what you're doing. Head to your favorite liquor store and buy some Balcones products. You got to grab.
You sipping on some Balcones over the weekend, huh?
It is good, man. I'm in a big. I got a big whiskey / bourbon kick going. It's
nice.
I've got my seltzer Saturdays, and then Saturday night. It's just I'm starting to dabble a bit. I'm a father now, Ted. I'm a little more mature. The palate is maturing. Not really. It's just it's good. You got to grab some of Balcones Lineage Single Malt Whiskey. It was just voted one of the top 20 whiskeys in the world by Whiskey Advocate, and you'll be shocked by how affordable it is. Also, you got to snag some of Balcones Baby Blue Corn Whiskey.
It's made from the blue corn. That's the fancy corn.
And that is why it has won more than 25 awards. Last but certainly not least, you got to buy some of Balcones Pot Still Bourbon, which is what I was drinking on Saturday. Its big flavors make it the perfect bourbon to drink year-round. In 2012, Balcones Single Malt won the Best in Glass competition, beating brands like Johnny Walker and Macallan. It became the first American distillery to win the competition. This stuff is the real deal, people. If you love great whiskey and bourbon at a great price, then Balcones products are the only way to go. The whiskey may be made in Texas, but the owners are from Oklahoma. To find a liquor store that has it, visit balconesdistilling.com and make sure you bank at First Fidelity Bank. First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all. Whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone, everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. First Fidelity Bank also provides free ATMs worldwide, making banking convenient wherever you are. They also give back to the community. FFB donates a total of more than $500,000 to local charities and educational foundations. Make your life easier and go bank at First Fidelity Bank. Visit FFB.com for more information. Okay, for my winner of the weekend, thought about going with Hawaii football. Hired Timmy Chang. Let's go.
How about that? I think Timmy Chang, I think he was in Detroit for a cup of coffee whenever I was there.
Nice. Well, did you see all this stuff with June Jones? He was like, no coach would ever take this job they just offered me. And I don't know what they offered Timmy Chang, but he was like, I got it. I'll do it. I love it.
That's awesome.
But for this is going to hurt. I'm warning you. This is going to hurt your soul.
Okay.
My winner of the weekend, NFL kickers. NFL kickers. Your favorite humans. Let's start in Cincinnati. Let's start with Evan McPherson from the Bengals. Rookie buries a 52-yarder as time expires on the road
in the cold
to beat the Titans and send the Bengals, yes, the Bengals, to the AFC Championship game. And the best part about it, I guess he went up to the backup quarterback. They were standing by the heater before he went out there to kick it, and he goes, well, looks like we're going to the AFC Championship game, which is an incredible story that Joe Burrow relayed to everyone on the podium after the game. But that's awesome. It's awesome, but that's a rough loss for Tennessee, Ted. Man, that was so many mistakes. So many mistakes. Now, they sacked Joe Burrow 9 times and lost.
Crazy.
Sacked him 9 times and lost. And credit to Burrow for just taking that beating and still making some big time throws in that game. Joe Mixon with a big touchdown run. That was really nice. And ultimately this game will be remembered as a microcosm of Ryan Tannehill's career, basically. I mean, it was the most Tannehill game of all time. Like, he just has an incredible throw in the clutch to A.J. Brown for the touchdown. You're just like, oh my gosh, that couldn't be better. But then 3 interceptions. I mean, 3 picks, and they all came at just horrible times in the football game. Had one on the first play of the game. Then they were inside the 10-yard line. Now, that was a hell of a play by Hilton, jumping up and batting him to himself. But then it looks like the Titans are going to try to kick a game-winning field goal, and it's laid out of his hand. I don't even know how good of a decision it was, but it gets intercepted, and they end up losing the game because of it. I mean, just an absolutely brutal performance for Ryan Tannehill. Brutal.
I don't know how much. Like, I think Tennessee, just their style, how they play, that it wasn't a good thing for them to have a bye. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but just that's kind of why I picked Cincinnati, just because they were kind of the hot team. But all that being said, Tennessee had plenty of opportunities to just take a stranglehold on that football game, and they wouldn't do it. Too many mistakes out there, too many turnovers. Credit Cincinnati, man. It's a lot of fun to watch a young team that hasn't been there go out there and have that type of success. It makes it look like these guys are actually enjoying themselves out there, and it translates so good for the sport.
Yeah, I will say, I know there's a lot of discussion about Vrabel going for 2 so early in the game. You got Derrick Henry, and you got to get 6 inches. Yep, you like your odds, right? And the same thing happened when he went for it on 4th down. It's 4th and 1. Now maybe you should have handed it to Deontay Foreman. My goodness, that dude just runs like he is mad at the world. But yeah, they got stuffed in a couple of short yardage situations with Derrick Henry, and Tannehill was kind of a disaster. That's how you lose a game you should have won. That's how you lose a game when you sack the opposing quarterback 9 times and Jeffrey Simmons completely dominates the game like I predicted he would. It's ridiculous.
We can't add anything to that.
Okay.
Tannehill, picks, turnovers, man.
It just a reminder, the reason I'm so worked up, number one, the Tennessee Titans employed me at one point, and Cincinnati Bengals did not. And not only did they not employ me, I worked out for them. They told me I had the best workout by far, and then they didn't sign me. So I hate the Bengals. Like, I literally told a guy to F himself and walked out. Like, it was not fun. But that's a story for a different time. I ended up getting signed by the Saints when I was flying from Cincinnati to Chicago. I had a layover in Chicago to get home. And when I landed, I had a bunch of text messages like, "Do not get on the plane. You're going to New Orleans." I was like, "Wait, what?"
That's awesome.
I was down in the dumps, didn't even spring for the Wi-Fi, Ted. That's when you know it's bad.
Yeah. Well, thank God you didn't get signed by Cincy, right?
Yeah. I got to get my heart broken by Stephon Diggs on the Minneapolis Miracle play. That was fun. That was a great memory. Yeah. It was fun. Last game, last football game. That game.
Really?
Yeah. Retired after.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. We're off course.
Wow.
We're off course. We got to get back on track. The loser of the weekend. Oh, wait. We didn't even talk about Robbie Gould, did we?
No, we could skip that if you'd like.
Nah, let's not, because I got to keep showing some love to kickers. Let's keep this train rolling. Another winner of the weekend, Robbie Gould, 45-yarder, guy kicked in snow in the cold all those years in Chicago. The San Francisco 49ers go to Lambeau and beat the Green Bay Packers, and this game sucked. I don't want to hear it like, yes, it came down to a field goal at the end, but this game sucked. I did think both defenses played well. Thought both offenses were underwhelming, to say the least.
Well, yeah, the 49ers put up a whopping 6 points offensively and won a playoff game on the road in Green Bay in 0-degree weather. That is unreal against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but the difference in the game, special teams.
Yep.
And the Packers came into the game with the worst special teams units in the NFL, right? If you're into the DVOA stuff, they were 32nd in special teams DVOA. Worst in the league by a lot, too, like worst by a wide margin. And, well, special teams lost them this game. Had a field goal blocked, had a punt blocked for a touchdown, and maybe the worst of all, and maybe the biggest indictment, game is on the line. Robbie Gould is on the field kicking the game-winning field goal. It is after a timeout. and the Packers field goal block team only had 10 guys on the field.
Did it really? I didn't see that.
Yeah. Isn't that brutal?
Wow. Well, there's going to be a job vacancy there for special teams coach. So if anyone wants it, put your hat or your name in the hat because they're going to be getting one. I couldn't believe got the punt blocked for a touchdown. That is just absolutely brutal.
That deep snapper got taken straight backwards into the punt.
But the personal protector, you got to be able to see that. If you see one of your guys get killed, getting put right in your lap, you don't just sidestep it and go downfield and cover. Just give a little forearm. That's all you got to do. Something.
Oh, you're getting pushed into me. Let me move real quick. I was like, what are you doing? But yeah, and I'll say this about Aaron Rodgers. Wasn't exactly an MVP performance from 12. We talk about how great he is, and there's no doubt in my mind he's one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen. But he's also now 5-4 at home in the playoffs. 5-4.
Crazy.
That's not great.
Crazy. Yeah, that was a wild game, man. I watched it almost every single snap and never felt like the Packers were going to lose it until the ball went through the uprights. That's the only time I felt like they were going to lose. It was a shocker.
Yeah, and the 49ers are definitely banged up heading into the NFC Championship game, right? Our boy Trent Williams was hobbled out there, and the play where they put him in motion where he reported eligible.
Wow.
And they tried it again, actually, and it didn't wasn't successful the second time, but the first time they did it, that was my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my God. But
that's unfair.
Yeah, but he was banged up. Deebo Samuel, remember, he ended up hopping off the field like on one leg, like a little pogo stick. George Kittle was hurting. I mean, it's not like Jimmy G was lights out and that hand must still be bothering, but it also felt like Jimmy G should have had like 4 interceptions in that game with some of the late throws to the sideline. But they got it done. But, man, they are the walking wounded heading into that game against the Rams.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. They're catching a Rams team that they are playing some really good football, and they got their choke out of the way, right? Their near miss is done on the road against the Bucs. I don't know. San Francisco, they're talented enough that they're going to make a good game of it. But right now, you got to be leaning Rams.
Yeah. All right, for my loser of the weekend, OU hoops, women's and men's. There's not much to say about what happened to Jenny Bronchek's squad other than Ayoka Lee gave them all of the work.
Crazy. That's
61.
That's wild, man. That's wild.
She had 61 points on OU women's basketball team.
That's brutal.
Now she is 6'6". Like she's got a presence to her, but 61.
That's nuts.
It's an NCAA record.
That's nuts.
I don't think we have to talk about anything other than that.
No. Hey, what are you going to do other than something illegal? That's tough. When someone's having a game like that, you just wild.
High lower. like you do
you want to win or not? It's
like a defensive lineman, you can't block and pass rush to say, hey man, we're about to run boot. Right, you go high, I go low. That would never happen. Football players would never do that. But as far as the OU men, Porter Moser boys, they've hit a rough patch. They've hit a rough patch. 4th loss in a row after the loss to Baylor on Saturday. They are just, I really enjoy watching them play. I want to make that clear. But they are just not talented enough to turn the ball over the way that they do. They cannot be as careless. And credit to Baylor's defense, right? We all know Baylor's really, really solid defensively. But you can't turn the ball over 25 times and beat not even a good team, especially not a really good team like Baylor. But, man, you're not going to beat many teams in college basketball when you play that way, especially or at least at the Power 5. But and it doesn't help when you don't score for the first 5 minutes of the game, or when you don't score for I don't know how many of the first minutes in the second half. Like, they got to get started better as well. But in that first half, they actually shot it pretty decently. They just didn't get many shots up because they kept turning the ball over.
It's when you are when your roster is the way Oklahoma's is, right, they've got some things that they do well. They're good defensively. They could be streaky behind the 3-point line at times, but they don't have just anyone on the team that is a go-to offensive threat to just kick them the ball and let them go to work. And when you can't score like that, you absolutely cannot turn the basketball over. You can't have that combination. If you're a team that scores like crazy, okay, some turnovers are factored in, right? We're going to be a high turnover team, but we score like crazy. It's not perfect, but that's how we're going to be. If you can't score like crazy and you turn it over 20 plus times, you're not going to win. You're not going to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter really if you're playing Baylor or anyone else. You're not going to win very many basketball games like that.
Yeah. Even with the bad start to the first half, all the turnovers, and the bad start to the second half, somehow, and maybe that crowd, the energy in the building had a lot to do with it. I don't know, but somehow they still had a chance in the last like 6 or 7 minutes, but they just couldn't close that final gap with Baylor. And I guess the few plays that stand out in this game, Tanner Groves, strong jaw, flying knee to the head from Matthew Meyer. No call, somehow a no call. He gets teed up after it. Like, yeah, he should be pissed. And that was actually a big swing, like a momentum swing in that game. Because remember, 4-point possession for Baylor.
And what we had just cut it to either 3 or 5, right?
You had just cut it to 5.
5.
Flying knee to the head.
Which should have been a penalty. Or
absolutely. Penalty. Four free throws for Baylor and extended the lead to 9. And that whole sequence was something. I'll say this. I was screaming at my television. I don't do that often. I was not happy.
Yeah, I happened to be listening to T Rowe on the broadcast, and they seemed pretty confused as to how it wasn't, even when they reviewed it, right? They went back and reviewed it and didn't call it. So that was strange. It's a couple of games. You had that strange call against Kansas. That was we should have had possession. And then this play here, which happened at a critical moment in the game. They've been a little bit unlucky, but forget the luck. Just stop turning the ball over so much, right?
Yeah, and it would certainly help if they shot 3 a little better, right? Another subpar performance from the 3-point line, 5 of 18 from 3 for the Sooners against Baylor. And Baylor's defense is really good. They're a really talented team. They're a top 5 team in the country. I think they're one of the 7 or 8 teams in the country that can legitimately win the national championship. But they had 35 points off OU turnovers. And they were really balanced offensively, had 4 guys in double figures. They're just a better basketball team than Oklahoma, especially when Oklahoma does not cherish the ball.
The problem right now is that this conference, you're not going to play Baylor every week or every game, but it's never going to be easy. There's not any real games that you just look at and say we can cruise to a win in this one. Every game is going to be difficult. You got to bring your A game week in, week out.
No doubt.